Another day, another lawsuit for Uber and Lyft. This story comes from Vice. However, before we discuss it, hey everyone, this is Kevin the Apptrepreneur. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here and you happen to really like this video, please do me and yourself a favor. Hit that subscribe button and ring that bell notification. We upload on a near daily basis, news, commentary, editorials, interviews, premieres, live streams, and you will want to be notified when they come up. Especially if you are Uber and Lyft drivers, because I do talk about them fairly frequently. Not as much as I used to, but still fairly frequently. And, well, Uber and Lyft is getting sued again. Like, seriously, big shock, big shock. This time, more than 100 rideshare drivers in California who are asking to be reclassified as employees and receive 3 years back pay from Uber and Lyft. Now, I think I've mentioned this in live streams before. I don't know if I've ever done this in one of the regular videos where I want to clarify my position on back wages just a bit. I know it's not a popular opinion. I know it's not. I don't agree with the whole back wages thing. I really don't. I think under how we were doing it back then, you were making what you were making. You agreed to make it. If you were not happy with what you were making a year or 2 or 3 ago, then too bad. You agreed to drive at those wages. You collected the money you agreed to collect. I don't think this should be retroactive. I just don't. I agree that going forward, the new wages should be put into place, but I don't believe back payments are in order. That's not going to stop some drivers from trying, though. Again, this is according to Vice, where Christopher Arellano, a resident of San Francisco, was one of the first gig workers to sign up for Lyft when it launched in San Francisco in 2012. Since then, he's given more than 26,000 rides on the app. But he's never been reimbursed for gas or the wear and tear on his car, and often he earns less than San Francisco's $15.59 an hour minimum wage. My question, of course, and this is, I have to always hold the driver's feet to the fire in these cases. Look, Uber and Lyft take advantage of you. It's undeniable. But the information's out there. Most drivers admit that they've done the math. They wind up way below the minimum wage, and yet they choose to continue doing it anyway. That's a problem. And I think that's just as much on you as it is Uber. But to make matters worse, he's never seen a raise. No, of course not. In fact, his wages have steadily dropped since he began driving for the app in 2012. That is why I quit. On Wednesday, Arellano and more than 100 other Uber and Lyft drivers will file wage theft claims amounting to millions of dollars at the California Labor Commission offices in San Francisco, Los Angeles, and San Diego. They are asking to be reclassified as employees and receive 3 years back pay for minimum wage and overtime violations and other expenses accrued on the job, such as the cost of gasoline. Quote, "We've taken so many pay cuts throughout the years, it feels good to stand for your rights and dignity. It feels like standing up to a high school bully." Well, yes and no. Here's the thing. I've been at the protests. I supported the protests. I supported AB5. I believe that AB5 is ultimately a good thing. And that you can take pride in. But here's the thing. Standing up to a high school bully. Well, here's the thing. For someone who felt you were being bullied, you sure did engage with them. You sure did willingly work for them. No one was holding a gun to your head and saying you have to work for Uber and Lyft. You decided you wanted to do that. This is where I start getting a little annoyed. I agree with protesting. I agree with not driving. I agree with saying, hey, this isn't fair. We need to be paid better. And I'm not going to drive until I'm paid better. And I'm even going to protest. I'm okay with all of that. But here's the thing. Change has been enacted in the form of AB5. AB5 is law of the land until it gets overturned. I'm sorry, it probably will be. And these are the rules with which you work with from this point on. And if you want to work with those rules, you are totally free to do so. But AB5 never said this was going to be a retroactive thing. Like, hey, we're doing this now, and we should have been doing it for 3 years, so now you can sue. No, that's not how this works. You were an independent contractor back then. You weren't treated like one. I know you weren't. And maybe a case could be made for a little bit of times, like once it got to a certain pay cut, and once they implemented a certain policy, then maybe from that point on you can argue this is where I was being treated like an employee. But you can't just say, oh, well, 3 years ago I started doing this. Now AB5 is law, and I feel like I should get back payment when AB5 never promised you that in the first place. So, the wage theft campaign, People's Enforcement of AB5, organized with the grassroots drivers group Rideshare Drivers United, who are probably a little pissed at me because I'm making this video and have this stance right now, which now has more than 10,000 driver members in California. Good for them. In part of an attempt to push the state of California to enforce a controversial law that went into effect on January 1st, known as AB5. The law is intended to reclassify gig workers, yada yada, but so far little has changed. Quote, I've been driving for 35 hours plus a week since 2012. As you can imagine, they owe me a lot, says Arellano. Well, owe is a very loose word. I don't think you're owed anything, especially when you willingly drive for bad wages. But for me, it's also a much broader issue. I want them to implement AB5. We're trying to organize this driver-led campaign to force the state to comply, and with the wage claims, they have the opportunity to enforce the law. Well, here's the thing, though. And this is where I have to start stepping in and giving my unique perspective on this. Yes, I agree that AB5 is a good thing. I think it should be passed. But here's the thing. I was hoping that when AB5 passed, Uber and Lyft would make changes necessary so that you can get paid more money and have your flexible hours without being employees. And the thing is, at least Uber has done a very good job at conforming to AB5 so that that can be the case. Now, some people do just want to be employees. They don't like the uncertainty of it. You know what? There are a lot of jobs, especially in San Francisco, that pay more than $15 an hour. I believe if you really want a steady paycheck, you want the benefits, you want all that jazz, you should apply for one of those jobs. There is a certain level of unpredictability to rideshare and entrepreneurship in general. There is. And I don't think suing is going to get you the way you want. Let's see, what else does this say? So, this is all pretty much what we've read before. But yeah, there's another lawsuit. I don't expect it to go very far, for the record. And really, I think that's where we can leave this one. No need to get too complicated. The rules were what they were a few years ago. It sucks. We finally are getting some positive change, at least on Uber's end. Lyft has been stubbornly not adapting to anything AB5 related. I think they're in a position where they can't even do the minor changes. They have to hope that AB5 gets overturned. And as long as they're suing California, they don't need to make those changes. So, you know. But I'd like to know what you think. Do you agree with this lawsuit? Do you think it's going to succeed? Do you disagree with it? If so, why? Please comment below. Like, favorite, share, subscribe. And as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.